Tonight's tactical enhancement is Cuba Libre. Tonight we're playing Team Yankee. 80 points, which gets you a lot actually, I'm finding, if you don't have the crazy tanks. And this is the table. The last time we had a game it was a lot more urban, so this time it's a bit more rural. A quick talk through what we've got. We've got a farmstead, the first of the Metcalf kits overbought, and down the street there a farm worker with his little greenhouse and his apple tree orchard and a whole lot of petunias or some such thing, so we'll be very disappointed if everyone drives their tank through that. Hills are hills, roads are roads, trees are trees, nothing special. Minefields, the black dot in the center is actually the point from which we measure the minefield. The rest of it's just decorative. And you'll notice that Emilio's put one in the trees, one of the best concealed advances, so naturally that's blocked. One on the road, because you don't want us screaming down there in a hurry. Andrew's demonstrated that amply in the past. And one right in the middle of the farmstead in one of the best covered approaches, although you will have to be careful when you're deploying your own infantry in there so that they don't run into their own minefield. As for the mission, so I selected attack, as I so often do. Emilio selected defend, as he so often does, which is pretty much perfect for the Ruskies versus the British. So we rolled it up and got a no retreat. We haven't played this in ages. Then we had to double check that Emilio didn't have transports that were up armoured, because that would totally destroy his ability to have things on the table. So the table itself, the defenders are defending this area. This is the defenders' objective that they put down. This is the attacker's objective that I put down. These little dice along here, the little dice that is, represent the forward deployment edge for the British, and these dice back here represent the forward deployment edge for my attackers. Now I've got artillery, so I've put one marker down here to be the TOS, of which there's not very many left in the world apparently, but they're horrific things. They're the ones that fire napalm basically, and the heavy RT is ranged in further away because, well, it's basically got less range. Now
And I want to move one of my minefields. Is it still okay?
By all means, where are going to put that thing?
So I'm thinking, because I can actually deploy anywhere on this half of the table.
That's right.
Because there's an objective here.
Yep.
I'm going to need to try to protect the objective. So the best thing I can do is actually probably put this minefield in.
Well, let's find somewhere we can put it down flat. It does have to actually fit.
Yeah.
Because the minefield's not going to go into the house.
So that way, what will happen is it's still on this half, but if you come in this way...
I see. Alright, well, we'll...
Yeah.
There we go, that makes it sit flat. So yes. We'll just say the minefield does not extend into the actual house.
Yeah, just in that...
2.5 inch radius from that dot outside the house.
That's it, yeah.
Cool. So, let's have a look at the armies. Emilio, what have you brought?
Okay, starting over here. So with the Brits, there's 80 points, as we've said. There's a chieftain armoured squadron headquarters, so 6 points. There's 2 lots, so 4 all up of chieftain armoured troop.
So that's 2 platoons of 2, living dangerously.
Yep. And 2 of them are actually up armoured.
There we go.
Yeah. And they've got the dice to just indicate that they're the ones with the extra armour.
We'll probably remove those at some point. But,
and then I've got 3 swing fire in there.
Oh, where are those sneaky boys? Ah, those things, right.
And then I've got 4 of the Scorpions, which Chris has played against with me before. They've got good hitting power, but they're very soft and they'll die quickly.
And they're slow as well.
Yeah, and they need to get up a bit closer. There's also 2 warrior mechanised platoons, and these platoons are 14 points each, and they include 4 GPMG, 3 Carl Gustavs, 1 2-inch mortar team, and 4 warrior vehicles, but they're not the up armoured variety.
Bob standards. Yep.
Yeah. So that makes them armour 3 at the front and 2 at the side.
Mm-hmm.
But for 14 points, I'm getting some hitting power to go with them rather than just normal vehicles.
Yep.
With machine guns. There's also an additional 2 Milan team over here.
Mm-hmm.
And there is 4 tracked rapiers.
Here they are.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Right, and up against that we have a BMP-2 battalion, the HQ, 3 small platoons with 3 AK teams with their little mini RPGs, and then each has got 3 of the dedicated RPG teams, and I've used the upgunned ones. So the AP is 19 instead of 17. The flip side is they've got a shorter range, which, looking at your army, I'm actually not convinced I went the right direction on that. But there you go, and of course the BMP2s have got all the fun stuff. They are beautiful creatures. Well, unless you're getting shot at by them, in which case they're horrific. We also got Tunguskas, just for a change. And then we take Shulkers, and again, points-wise, it probably would have been better if I brought the Shulkers. So they'll lay out just as much fire. But I wouldn't be paying the extra points for the missile launchers on these things, which I just won't get use out of because there's no British air. But I don't get to play with my Tunguskas, so I brought them out. We also have the best of the Ruski artillery. We've got the TOS, and we've got I've forgotten what these things are called, but they're the heavy version of the tube-fired rocket artillery. And then to add some weight to the whole thing, I've got 3 T-72s. I'm not investing heavily in T-72s, but it's good to have a bit of armoured brick with big gun. And to spice it up, I want to do something a bit different because my list is starting to look a bit the same. I've brought 2 choppers, which is just enough to transport a platoon of Afghansi with 4 AK teams and 4 dedicated RPG teams. Those RPG teams are not upgunned, they're the standard ones. You'll note they're not painted or based. That's because I've got quite a lot more BMPs and infantry, which I've just never got around to using before, but I thought it's about time to put something on the table. So here they are.
Yeah. Now the other thing, Chris, is I have to put 40% of my defence force in reserve.
That's right.
And there is one a unit that can be nominated for
ambush. So what's your reserve?
So I've got 1 mechanised platoon in reserve, and I've got 4 of my chieftains in reserve.
Okay, yeah, because it's 36 points is a lot.
Yeah, of 36 at 80s is just a bit over 40%, but that's okay.
Yeah. So those mech platoons are what, 14 odd each?
Yeah.
And then you've got
tanks are 12 a pair.
Yeah, so you're at 12, 24, 30, 40 points. Yeah, half your army. And that leaves the other half, which is interesting because it's your HQ. Okay, 6 points. Then you've got another platoon of 14 AA.
Yeah.
I wonder how many points AA is.
So the rapier is quite good value. For 4 rapier, it's 6 points.
Right. Yeah.
But they're only good. They only specialise at shooting planes and choppers down. Otherwise, they're just soft, easy targets.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because those tanks altogether are less than 30 points. Yeah, 28 points. So yeah, you'd have to have something else in reserve as well. So the rapiers are on the table, even though they actually can't physically shoot anything.
Not yet.
Well, true. I mean, I suppose if I go into attack run with the choppers, then they could shoot something.
Yeah. So then again, Chris, it was only 6 points. So
true.
You always bring some. You always fly something. And
Well,
just
usually,
gamble that if you're going to fly something, give me a good chance to take it out of the sky.
I might be giving you points by trying to do an attack run with these 2 bastards, but they are carrying infantry though, so that's different.
Yeah.
Rapiers can't shoot them when they're on the ground. But everything else can shoot them when they're on the ground, so it's a bit of a trade-off. So anyway, you're going to have the rapiers, swing fires, Milan teams, a mech infantry platoon. Is that the one that's in reserve?
So no, just.
Oh, sorry, in ambush.
Yeah. Well, I haven't nominated.
All right. So something will be in ambush. A tank and some light tanks. So there's enough stuff that I can't just go barreling headlong toward the objective.
And I also made a point of paying a bit extra. So rather than having just standard mechanised platoons, and I've gone for the warrior mechanised platoons, which cost a lot more, because at least I get the guns.
Those guns are good value.
Good value, the guns, yeah.
Yeah, the vehicles are a bit better in some other regards too, but those chain guns, 30mm chain gun will just eat BMPs alive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, we are going to deploy and get into turn 1. Okay, end of Russian turn 1. We fired smoke instead of explosive rounds in order to section off the battlefield here and here. What that's done is create a safe pocket where I can get a first turn of movement in without getting eaten alive by a crossfire of Milan and whatnot, and swing fires here, who would probably have picked off 1 to 2 vehicles statistically, right through these T-72s, and those Milans would have done some damage as well. Over here, we set up for the next turn's firefight by moving into the woods. One of the Tunguskis got bogged. I decided not to move the BMP-2s into the woods because there's actually a little avenue where I can go around the edge of the woods there, which might be better than, and even though you get concealment in the woods, they're so easy to hit anyway, it's not that big a deal, whereas getting bogged is more likely to be a problem. Obviously the observer did his job, it's probably the only thing he's going to get to do all day, and the artillery did their job. So that's it. I've got a nice big opening move, but at the expense of trying to kill anything. And I think you can't use the same range in marker for smoke as for high explosive, so those range markers will effectively be gone next turn. So that will have an impact on the utility of the artillery. But well, what the hell? We'll still give it the biff. On that note, a very quick turn over to the British. End of British turn 1, and my smoke did its job, as did my hiding in the trees up there. Emilio shuffled a few transports around just to make sure he's in a position to not get jumped on too quickly while still maximising his shots in return. The infantry did not move, or they did shoot though.
No, 1 Milan, separate to the...
Separate platoon, is it? Okay. So the main infantry are concealed and gone to ground, but that 1 Milan took a shot at the observer and missed. He moved up his company HQ to try and pick off a tank and missed. That was a crap dice roll. He's a 5 to hit and return if I start taking pot shots at him. But then there's these guys, the swing fires. They've moved into the trees, so they're 5s to hit this turn. But I think because they got the hammerhead rule, we'll check that. But I'm pretty sure they'll be 6s to hit if they don't move and just shoot at me, which is quite good. But yeah, because the artillery is not going to repeat on the same position with high X, it's actually safe ground now, whereas previously you wouldn't have deployed under that, you'd be toast. So that's it, not much else going on, no reserves, so we'll go into Ruski turn 2, and the first thing that happens is all the smoke goes away, so we're out in the bloody open now. Ruski turn 2, and it was actually quite successful. Firstly, I manoeuvred, and I brought up the tanks 10 inches to shoot. This platoon 10 inches to shoot. This platoon moved at the double cross-country dash and didn't do anything else. Didn't shoot or dislodge any troops. Commander is at the back because that's the best way to lead. Over here, I moved the BMPs around. I only managed to get 3 of them in a position to shoot, and I brought 3 of the Tunguskas up, the other one having bogged again. I kept my infantry back from the edge, and there's a reason for that. Mainly because shooting from the edge of the forest, they were just outside 8 inches, so I'd have to move into the open to fire, and we're just not ready for that yet. We started by bringing artillery down, and I ranged in the Tunguskas on the first go using the observer, who's inconveniently still there, and we killed 1 even with the brutal reroll. There's 4 infantry under there. We bailed a vehicle as well with it, but that was all. Then we dropped the heavy artillery from these guys, but because we were ranging in with the same observer, he ranged in for them on the third attempt. So, which is actually still pretty good when you think about it. 2 5+ out of 3 dice. So they didn't do much. But they ranged in for next turn. Then with the shooting, it was pretty spectacular. This mob over here cleaned up 4 out of 5 transports. But the infantry is fully intact, and they're the really dangerous bit. The transports were just a danger to lighting up my BMPs more than anything else. Over here, there actually was a transport there. I think we killed that.
Yeah, put a smoke on it.
Yeah, I'll put that back and put some smoke on it. That was killed by the artillery. The rest of the transports were killed by the BMP-2s and the Tunguskas with their direct fire. And they're lovely, brutal monsters, those. Again, assuming you're not on the wrong side of that particular formation. Over here, we dumped main armament. Well, we dumped the BMP-2 fire into this platoon and took out 1 out of 3 swing fires. That was alright, actually. I can't complain. I only had 4 dice to do that with.
Taking out the headquarters tank was the win.
Yes, then I fired 3 tanks at the headquarters tank. 1 hit, which is statistically about right. But then you failed the armour and it went right through and took him out. So that was pretty rude, actually. So even though I didn't kill much with the toss, which I thought would be probably the biggest hit, I've done quite a lot this turn. It's really going to make you have to work hard in order to win. The dice are very much in my favour today. Normally I'm saying the opposite, but that's more of a wham thing. Yeah, we're into the British turn 2 now, so perhaps hock some dice.
You've got 2 dice this time?
2 dice for reserves. Let's see what comes up. 1 reserve comes in. Alright, well, then you can bring it in anywhere on the back line. On that note, we'll check in at the end of British turn 2. British turn 2. So a few things happened. On the main left hook going on over here, this lot lit up this platoon of BMP-2s, killed 2, bailed 2. Infantry all piled out, or pinned of course. They only actually killed 1 RBG team in terms of actual infantry kills after everyone spilled out, shot up and everything. Now, there was a Milan over here that lit up a T-72. That one's gone. And then the swing fires arced up, but they only bailed 1. So, yeah, a bit of luck there. Okay, so that was that for this flank. Now, the reserves. The reserves were these, the other infantry platoon, and we had a big discussion about whether to drive stuff out and start blazing away. And I suggested use reserves, because in Flames of War, in all of its iterations, even when you have the massive firepowers that you have in this in the Team Yankee era, nothing ever dies as efficiently as you want it to. So he's moved them up. I won't be able to. I might be able to see one of them with 1 vehicle. Well, no, actually, because that guy's not dead. So they're pretty safe there. So the infantry will come out and they'll be guarding that objective good and proper, which is what you want. And then the tanks will be coming. At least 1 tank unit will be coming next turn. Over here, I took another shot at the stationary BMP-1 observation vehicle over here. And that's 2 $80,000 missiles that guy's fired. That's like twice his annual salary, and he hasn't hit it yet.
No, but I know that's bad. That's bad for me. But I did evacuate my troops from this building.
Yes, yeah, he evacuated his troops from there.
They unpinned and they ran. That's
right, and that guy there, who's the brave fellow who might get hit by a pile of napalm in a moment, he did take out a tank. This last remaining transport didn't even get back in, so we haven't done platoon morale yet. And I don't blame them for hiding after what happened to all of their mates, frankly. And then there's a big cluster of 66s from the GPMG teams and a couple of Milan blazed away and killed 1 of the Tunguskas. And look, they bailed the other 2, so if I don't get them both in, then I've got to do a platoon morale test. So we'll see how we go with that. So that I think Emilio did the right things this turn. And I did the right things in my turn too, as best I can tell. But my dice were quite a bit more favourable than Emilio's. So on that note, we'll go into Ruski turn 3, and we'll see if enough of my fellas get back in their vehicles to not cause me a dilemma. We'll check in after that. And of Russian turn 3, well, it's gotten a bit messy over here. We had one platoon that had already fallen out of their vehicles. The other platoon decided to get out and free up the transports to start laying down fire. Actually, the BMP platoon that got hit before, the bow one didn't get back in, and the remaining vehicle failed its standalone test, and that platoon's gone. The rest moved up and along with the tanks blazed away at these swing fires, killed 2, bailed 2. The infantry just let rip with all sorts of light arms and RPGs, and we bailed 2 of these. These are the swing fires.
Yeah,
sorry,
they're the swing fires.
Those are the scorpions.
They're the scorpions, yeah.
So the swing fires are bailed, but if they get back in, yeah, we'll see. There's a few morale tests to come. I didn't even try and get anywhere near these guys. That wasn't going to happen. I still got my choppers in reserve because it's just nowhere good to land them at the moment. Now over here, well, we ranged in the toss on the second roll, then didn't hit anything. So that didn't do anything to affect this platoon at all. We used the third roll to range in the other artillery, and we failed that roll, which is fair enough. Over here, the BMPs put a few rounds into the infantry, didn't do a lot. The AK infantry blazed away like mad, and I think got 1 unit. And then we moved up one of these Tunguskas, and we let rip with both of those, and we killed 1 or 2 more. And just the sheer number of dice to hit was enough to pin the platoon. We then launched our infantry assault. Now a couple of things happened here. We had to go on the normal move way over there in order to assault the edge of this one building only, partly to avoid being danger close to the toss when that fired, but also because that reduced the amount of fire that would get poured into that infantry unit while it attacked. You hit a couple, they passed the tests. When we did our assault, we only killed 1 with like 4 dice. 2 teams stacked up against each window, really. But yeah, then they failed their counter-attack, so they've been pushed back. That said, they are rather well positioned to smash me in return next turn. But this is actually going better than expected. We're over here, we're going to be mired in this shit for a while yet. So it sort of changes the emphasis of the weight of the attack, and Emilio's going to have to deal with that. He now gets 3 dice reserves, one of which is automatically guaranteed.
4,
1.
5.
1. Just 1. You're being gypped. 1 unit of tanks comes on. You got to think real hard about where to put them. So we'll check in at the end of British turn 3, and we'll see how many of his guys got back in their vehicles. Alright, end of turn 3 British. Now there's a turn in 2 halves. Firstly, all of his pinned stuff got back in, or unpinned, including his infantry, except for that one transport there. Then the hosing began. Fired a Milan at that and bailed it. Fired another Milan over here at a tank and bailed it. Swing fires fired at the tanks and bailed 1. And then these guys failed at the BMP2s and killed what, 2? Yeah, killed 2. That wasn't too bad.
Did you make a test or anything at this stage?
No, I've still got 2 fully operational.
Okay.
This lot came out and used the 762s instead of, which actually have a higher rate of fire than I thought they did. So we got 12 dice.
Oh, right. Abysmal. 4 hits on 12.
Yeah, you didn't do too well. So you slightly annoyed these infantry, but didn't actually pin them. But these infantry got out over here. And it does occur to me, if I want to assault those, I'm going to be within 8 inches of these guys. So you've got an awful lot of firepower to keep them safe, which I've got to deal with my somewhat reduced number of MP2s. Speaking of which, the tanks picked off 2 BMP2s over there, which is pretty much exactly what you want to happen. The good news for me is that Emilio sent his troops in to assault my guys and rolled a bit crap, I have to say.
Didn't cause you any casualties.
No. So, and then when he did the charge, he had a 50-50 chance of being pinned on the way in, and I hit 7. But then he did right his save, so only one was killed. So, yeah, once again, the dice have been a bit reprieve for me. I rather thought this would be the disposable flank, where I just cause a lot of casualties and stop them being effective at
and I thought this would be my strongest flank, but it's a touch and go.
Well, it's worth noting I have been dropping artillery on you guys, and while they haven't killed much, they have shaped the fight over here a bit, because I can't drop artillery over here without being too dangerous to my own guys. So it's turning into quite an interesting game.
And your choppers haven't come in yet?
No, well, I've got nowhere to put them until your last 2 tanks come on. I don't even know where it's safe. They may not end up playing a part in the game, but they're only 10 points out of an 80-point game, so it's not too big a deal. On that note, over to the Russian turn 4, and we'll see if my assorted pinned out tanks and whatnot get back in. Okay, so Russian turn 4. We ranged in the other artillery. I really only have one Milan under it, and I picked him off. And I haven't shifted fire closer because it'd get me too close to my own guys. We'll have to see whether this last guy sticks around because his mate's dead. Alright, we got our tanks back in. That was critical. These infantry were never pinned, I don't think. So we moved up where we could, but I'm still staying at a point where if these guys want to shoot me, they're going to have to move. So if he comes running out, okay, he'll have a big, massive assault, but that is what it is. It'll be a bloodbath. With the shooting, my BMPs fired their chain guns again, took out these things. That platoon's gone. We fired our tanks and some RPG teams at these, but being swing fires, we needed 6s. I dropped a few rounds on these and managed to pick off 1. So 1 warrior got taken out. It wasn't too bad, but these swing fires sticking around has been a bit of a problem. Turns out that running headlong toward concealed, gone to ground things with RPGs is, it's not a great strategy. So we've got still quite a powerful force over here, but there's a lot of shot that can do things about that. The disappointing bits were twofold. Well, the good news was I got my
the Shuka things.
The Tunguskas got back in. They dumped a whole lot of rounds, pinned this platoon, which is actually already pinned from the failed assault, but I picked off another team. The infantry in here, I totally forgot to advance them to do an assault. So I was outside of assault range. So I just fired instead and picked off another team. So this platoon is down to, I think, 3 guys. If they lose another one, they're starting to do tests. But then my BMP2s over here, they fired at those tanks and whiffed. They just missed completely. So that was disappointing. So the British are still in the game, but this is a tight game. It could go either way. And of course, the British have got 2 more tanks coming on momentarily, and I still have nowhere safe to land my my choppers. So we'll do the British turn 4, and we'll check in after that. End of British turn 4. The last tanks came on. He was originally going to move them up around this flank here and start dumping in, trying to get flank shots on my tanks. But that was very dangerous with that massive infantry there, and we don't know if he's going to need to reinforce this flank here instead. So they've come up the middle, fired up the guts there, and I think they pinned it. They bailed a tank.
Destroyed 1 tank, didn't they?
One of the swing fires took out one of the T-72s, and these guys
hit one, bailed one.
hit one, and he rolled a 1 for firepower, so that was a reprieve for me. So the Swingfires did their job, taking out one of the other tanks. So I'm running out of T-72s.
And I sprayed you with a whole lot
Yes. Now these warriors, their 762 machine gun gets rate of fire 4 when stationary, so that was rough. Pinned the hell out of the front platoon there, and only killed one though, so I got a bit lucky again.
And my guys dug in too.
Yeah, yes,
They
the
got
infantry
underground.
dug in, so this is now a much tougher nut to crack. Although if they were concealed and gone underground, I would have been hitting on 6s anyway. But so yeah, this is a very solid defensive position.
Which is what I wanted from the beginning. Defense.
That's right. It takes a few turns to get these things to pile up the way you need them to, but I wasn't able to push through quite quick enough. And that really comes down to your infantry having taken the cautious route. If they come out here,
In the open, yeah.
I would have thrown so much stuff at that unit.
It would have hurt.
Yeah, and I would have ignored the other light vehicles in order to hit the ones with infantry in them. Over here, this guy finally got in, and he lit up one of the Tunguskas, but only bailed. Well, double bailed actually, but we passed our morale. This guy is still pinned, and the remaining 3 infantry from the main mech platoon, they are pinned.
Pull back.
They fell back to make it harder for me to assault. Meanwhile, these 2 tanks had to advance in order to put another unit on guard of that objective, and they managed to light up one more of the BMP 2s. So
I think I've
Interesting
weakened
times.
both fronts have been weakened.
yeah, both fronts have been weakened. On the flip side, your defensive positions have been seriously eroded. So we'll go into turn 5 for the Ruskies, and we'll check in after that. End of Russian turn 5. Yes, that was turn 5. Okay, so we failed to unpin this platoon here of infantry. We did get our tank back in, and he passed his man alone test. I had to leapfrog the other unit of infantry forward to start getting more shots on. It's a bit aggressive and leaves me a bit vulnerable to the counter attack, but you've just got to push. All we did in all this shooting though was, let me see, we picked off one of the swing fires, and we picked off another one of these warriors. We did fire a bunch of missiles at these tanks, including a plus main armament round from the T-72, and we did nothing. That was disappointing. Okay, so we tried to range in artillery over here using the CO, but he failed. Over here, the Tunguskas moved up, apart from one that's still bailed, and they just dumped an awful lot of rounds onto this transport and onto this Milan team. Killed neither. Both are pinned or bailed, but he passed his double bail test that transport did. We missed with our rocket over there, which I suppose was to be expected. But then we moved a bunch of infantry over to assault.
Lost 3.
Killed a team, so they're actually at break point now. They actually can't contest the objective, but they can still fight as long as they pass their morale test. But then when we made the charge, it may have been a slightly stupid thing to do actually in hindsight. And then I fired my RPGs at these tanks as well. They held back and didn't hit a damn thing. So
Even my Milan survived.
yeah,
You've got to
so
see if he stays though.
it's good to see that none of my stuff decided to run away, but it did do a pretty good job of dying instead of killing. So we will now move into the British turn 5. This will be the last turn because it's very, very late. And we'll see if the British can decisively push us back or whether we argue about who won. End of turn 5, British. Right, so Milan stayed pinned, vehicles stayed bailed out. These infantry, they remained pinned, but they passed their test for not running, basically. They'll have to do that every turn, but they fell back so they would not be outright destroyed. To a position which looks remarkably safe, but only because my commander failed to range in the artillery. Now, these tanks here, they picked off the last of the BMP-2 transports and a second Tunguska. Now, over here, the tanks didn't do particularly well. They picked off one BMP-2 only. And then the swing fire did nothing.
I rolled 3 ones.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's right. And these chaps, the 2 remaining warriors, fired 4 dice. I actually managed to kill like 3 guys out of the front platoon. Sorry, out of 8 dice. That was pretty good.
Which was enough, I think, to weaken your chance for a successful assault.
Yeah, look, it's hard yakka over here. I don't think I can assault until I've cleaned up the remaining fighting vehicles.
You run out of time, basically.
That's right. So the situation now is we're calling it because it's midnight and we both have work tomorrow. This objective is very hard to crack. You put a lot of weight over here in defence and it's worked.
Yeah.
I've taken quite a few casualties. I've got a platoon that's in poor spirits, much like you've got a platoon in poor spirits, but we're all still here. And my CEO is here to keep him going.
The Scorpions did a great job. I think they actually
they did what they were there to do.
Yeah, and they were basically in a position where they were hiding the whole game until they came out. And this flank was overwhelmed by this massive force that came down your left side.
Yeah.
And so I had to put them
Hard
basically
left protection
in a position where they could counter, and it was good that they came out when they did. I made a big mistake with my headquarters chieftain.
Yes.
That was a big mistake. But I just thought, position him, give you another target-rich environment because we were going to overwhelm me. But you got lucky and you took him out. But the Warriors were excellent over in that flank. So the reinforcements, they positioned well. They did a great job. These guys came in strategically just in the right place to make sure that we held this position tight. I honestly thought you were going to overwhelm me here, but my reserves...
Your reserves did their job.
Did their job.
And we were saying earlier that if you'd been more aggressive with your infantry, you probably would have lost the game through that. And in fact, if you'd been more aggressive with those tanks, I might have been getting flank shots with RPGs. So building up your strategy over multiple turns seems to work.
Well, my objective was defend, and I think that was a great case of defending. Over here, I always thought this was my strong point. And
it was, but I had an awful lot of fire going in, and the artillery did a little bit over here that helped. Picked off a vehicle or 2 and killed some infantry. And it took a few turns to erode it, but you notice I was very cautious with my first assault.
Yeah.
If I'd been careless with that, it would have been all over.
And then you forgot to assault again.
That was critical. If I'd done that assault properly, I probably would have the objective.
Well, these tanks still would have come there, but you would have had troops all the way around this objective.
Yeah, including my RPG teams. But
it would have been tough. But in fact, I don't know. Should you have put everything over on that left flank, or should you have put a bit more strength over here and tried to break one side?
I think I had the balance reasonably good, because what I usually do, right, is I'll have at least 2 axes of attack, and if I'm really lucky, I'll be able to have options to swap around some of them.
And hopefully one weakens and one breaks.
Yeah, and if you put enough weight in to stop the main inertia of the main attack, then it leaves the other one strong enough to either push an attack in its own right, and sometimes that's the more successful one, or they're left free enough to come and bolster the main attack if it falters. Doesn't always work. I mean, often that results in a tie, but...
I split my reserves as well. So I put 2 tanks this way, 2 tanks that way. If I knew that I was really in trouble, these tanks would never have come here and I would have gone over there. But then that would have left them vulnerable.
Yeah, if you had not reinforced this flank with tanks, you would have lost outright. As it is, I think I could still capture this objective, but it's a bit touch and go. So what I need to do is basically move my infantry out while you're within close enough to protect the objective, and then try not to get shot up too much by your 6 dice of defensive fire.
You've only got 4 stands left.
Yeah, I know.
It would have been tough.
It's very touch and go.
Yeah.
See, as it stands, I have no destroyed platoons because transports don't count. And we've invested a lot in killing each other's transports, because even though they don't count for points, they're fucking lethal.
Your missiles were deadly.
Yeah, and your chain guns are eating my stuff alive. So what this means is that nobody's got a major victory, so we would count a minor victory on the basis of who has the most destroyed platoons.
Yeah.
So you've got, I think, one outright destroyed platoon.
Well, this is what was left?
No, poor spirits ones actually don't count. They can't capture objectives, and they don't count as part of the formation morale because they're in poor spirits. But they don't count as destroyed. So that unit, your swing fire unit, and for that matter, my tank unit, none of them count for points. I think the only ones that do are the units that are destroyed, and that's just one tiny little unit of recce.
Yeah. So I basically lost, you could say, 14 points of that mechanised platoon.
If it was a tournament,
and my headquarters.
you get like 3 points and I'd get 4 points. But nobody would get the big points because nobody captured the objective. So it's kind of like you both lose, but one loses slightly more than the other. But that's it. That's how close this game was. And I mean, we've got plenty of burning stuff, but we were so busy killing each other's transports, and we were so careful to not let units get outright destroyed.
Well, you didn't have anything left to hurt these tanks over here.
All I've got left is infantry to run up, shoot them in the side.
With 4 stands, I think
it's
you're
pretty
gonna have
marginal.
A tough time. Over here, you had 3 vehicles left with missiles.
Yeah, it's worth noting if I'm prepared to sacrifice that infantry platoon, I do have another unit that can capture that objective.
And you got choppers. Could you have done anything with those 10 points, Chris?
Look, the thing about those choppers, right, is I've got to find somewhere to land them.
Where could you land them to make a difference in this game?
Option 1 is I land them over here. You can't ignore that. You can't let my guys come up because they'll run up and they'll RPG your tanks in the bum. So you would have to move over to them to chase off the choppers. And in doing that, you leave me winning that objective. So that's the gambit.
And that's why I placed them there.
Yeah. Maybe if we played a turn 6, I could do that. Because you can't chase them off if you move at the dash. You have to move at combat speed. So if I place my guys over there, either you ignore them and I kill you in turn 7, or...
How many turns left in the game?
Indefinite. As long as I've got something within, I think, 6 or 8 inches of that objective, I can keep it live. So I'd be feeding them in.
Well, they can't hurt my tanks, but could my tanks hurt the 4 stands that are in the buildings since they've got...
Yeah, you could machine gun to suppress or hit them with main guns. But the thing is, if you're doing that, you're not chasing off those chopper troops. So I'd basically be sacrificing a unit in order to win the game. It might work, it might not. There may be some clever thing that...
You're out in the open. You probably need 2 turns to contest it. I think it's a 50-50. I think
with that gambit, the trick is you have to move away from the objective to chase me off. I mean, you might be able to shoot the guys.
I could do it with them, not with them. I'd keep them on the objective.
No, they're too far away.
Well, they can move. What did we say?
14 using their stabilizers.
Yeah.
That's a fair way, but we'd have to... Probably not. You might be right, you might be wrong. We're not going to play it out.
No.
But that's the gambit that I'd have to do, and then
I would do the same. I would have dropped them here, as close as you can to that objective.
Yeah, and then
as far away as you can from those tanks.
So it's such a close game. I'd be doing crazy gambits and sacrificing units in order to try and secure a proper win. Over here, you poured so much in that this is a really tough nut to crack. Even once I get through your armoured vehicles, assuming I win the shootout, which I might not naturally at this point, there's no that infantry platoon's really strong.
The infantry was dug in. I was going nowhere, and you would not win that situation.
So the fight's over here, and I need to bring the Afghans in.
If the game's going to be won for you, it's going to be over here.
In fact, if I'd thought of this earlier, I would have dropped the Afghans in my turn 5. But I thought I didn't think I was at such desperate stakes at that point. In fact, I launched my infantry assault instead, thinking I could kill these guys and maybe damage a tank. So I thought it was premature to bring the Afghans in, but I could have been wrong on that. Maybe I should have brought them in.
I did the right thing to bring my tanks on when I did.
Yeah. Look, you brought those guys in the right place. They fought well. you brought these guys in the right place because they can start moving over there in your turn, so that if in my turn I do something crazy, then you can do it, which of course means they're not shooting over here. You've only got one swing fire, he might actually fuck off.
But they can't take the objective though.
That's right, only the infantry can.
So I would have used those tanks over here. Because I don't think you could win the game there, Chris, but you definitely could have a chance to win the game here if you play it right.
Of course, if you move your tanks all the way over there to keep that objective in play, then this is a lot softer target. Because I could move my infantry up and attack the last swing fire if it's still there. I've got infantry that can blast these last couple of things. It's touch and go. There's a lot of things which are very, very close. I think, like a 3 versus 4 point result is probably about right when you look at all the if, buts and maybes.
And I think you started off really strong in the first 2 turns of the game with your strategy, and I took hits in the second turn.
You had a couple of rough ones early on.
You basically were safe in the first 2 turns, and I got pummeled, but there was enough of us. I think my army selection was balanced enough and they're tough enough that they held their ground, and here we are, turn 6.
Well, dug in British, man, what can I say? They were a nightmare. And you did all the right things. You got your infantry out from under cover, you went and reinforced your objective. Artillery did what it was there to do the first couple of turns, but ran out of things to shoot at. So this is where sometimes having direct fire artillery with a smaller template is useful.
Well, thanks, Chris. Good game.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
80 points. This is what you get with 80 points. Fantastic game with 80 points.
That's right. Good, tight game. Not too big, not too small.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you for watching this far. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, tell your friends, make a comment to help the algorithm along. But for now, it's time to call it a night.